Alright YouTube, we're back again. As you can see, inside of the Mustang has pretty much been gutted. I did this for a few reasons. One is I wanted to check floor, which I knew it looked pretty good from underneath, but I physically wanted to look. But they put enough of this mat in here that it's not going to come out without a fight. Anyway, what I'm doing is the carpet was supposed to not fade, and it did. And I'm just using a cheap, well, I'm going to call it cheap. It was a vinyl fabric paint to paint it. And I'm going to tell you why. Don't panic. I will replace this carpet, but I do not know what end motor and transmission are going to be in here. I don't want to buy a new carpet, put it in, then whatever motor and transmission I get moves the shifter around in such a way that I end up with 15 holes in the carpet. I'm actually doing this in stages. So with that being said, the carpet, I ordered new seal plate, these seal plates that go along the edge. Let me get over here and see if I can get one. I guess I should have had this kind of prepared. This is the ones that were in it. I don't have any idea what they've done to it. It almost looks like somebody attempted to paint it or cover it with something at one time. They're somewhat bent up. I mean, I could probably buff those out, but the Ford logo is kind of tore up and whatnot, and they're not all that expensive to buy, reproduction anyway. So anyway, so I also do a lot of cleaning on the seats. I told you that at one time when this car, I put it in the garage. Oh, it's been 10, 12 years ago, over at my mother-in-law's house. Let's see, my hand there. I don't have a light in here either. You can see the mold that's in the cracks of the seats, and it's that way on the back of the front seats, and it's on both top and bottom of the back seat. I'm going to remove this and take them out and give them a good cleaning. I needed to take them out anyway, because you can see here's the bottom part of the back seat. It's down in those cracks. You can't get to it. You need to pull them. It's not that difficult. It's not that big of a deal. These things come out relatively easy. But anyway, you can see I had cleaned it years and years ago, but obviously that didn't take care of it. So I'm going to go outside. Forgive the camera. I'll show you what I'm doing here. It's probably going to go real bright. I'll show you what my problem is. You've probably seen the pictures originally, and I know this thing is, I can't see what I'm looking at here, so forgive me if it's way off. But this is obviously not black anymore, especially in the center hump. Anything that was exposed directly to the sunlight. And then I didn't realize this until it's shredded, it's coming apart. It was a cheap carpet. So this is the front part, and this is the back. And this also was set up exactly the same way. The center section was in pretty bad shape, and I just put, I don't know, 2 or 3 quick coats of that black paint, and this is going to be fine for now. This isn't something I recommend for everybody, but it's, for what I'm doing and what's going to end up happening, this is this is fine. Tell you what I did do. I'm going to walk down the driveway. Forgive the walking. I looked on Craigslist, of course eBay, several places to try to find an 8 or 9 inch rear end for this Mustang, and they're very hard to find for these, at least around here. I went through the 4-state area, every town, and I finally found one. And I had to drive 200 miles from my driveway to his driveway and bought this thing. What you're looking at is a 66. It's out of a Mustang. It's a 66 with a of course it was a V8 car. The guy stripped it. He gave me the information on it. He also gave me a bag full of parts and whatnot. The drums were stuck. He wanted to make sure it turned. I don't know if you can see. Like I said, I can't see what I'm actually looking at. Forgive the weed eater. I was over weed eating earlier. Anyway, it's a looking at the ID tag. It's a it's of course an open rear end. It's not a positive unit by any means, and which is fine. I'm not drag racing this car. It's for my wife, and it's a 3.00 gear. So you know, this is perfect for what I was looking for. Of course, it's a direct bolt in, so I don't have to deal with a bunch of stuff. The drive shaft length might be off, but anyway, it is an 8-inch rear end, so this is something that I, you know, like I said, I looked for it and looked for it, and it was just it just wasn't coming. I had to expand my search. There was only 2 of them for sale in the state of Missouri, and I got and when I called, I sent a message to the first guy. He had a complete leaf spring and all, and he only wanted $75 for it, but it's about 250, 275 miles from here. And it's like, good grief, I really don't want to drive that far. And I got a hold of this guy. It was $175. Yeah, it's kind of high, especially me not knowing anything about it. Him really not knowing anything about it. It doesn't look like it's leaked in a while. It looks like it's been on the road for a while. You know, like I said, you had to take it apart to get the drums off, but that's kind of how that works. There are some things, like I said, the second part of this, the reason I started this was the carpet thing. I'm almost 100% positive that 3-speed is shorter, and I believe I've showed you this, maybe I haven't, that T5. Now that is out of a turbo coupe, Thunderbird, mid-late 80s, I'm not sure. I pulled the case top on it several years ago when I got it, and it looks good inside. Obviously the bell housing won't work for a 4-cylinder, but for no more horsepower than this 6 makes, this is, you know, more than enough. So measuring it, it is a little longer. However, I've measured from the actual bell housing, well, not from the bell housing, although it really wouldn't make any difference in this case. I measured the length. The shifter actually comes out really, really quick. It's almost dead on. I was surprised at how close it really was. I don't think I'm going to have to modify the floor for this particular application. However, when the V8 goes in it, which I'm supposed to go get it this weekend, but we ended up getting other plans to do something with the grandkids, so I don't have time to go get that 289. I need to get it here, get it on the stand, tear it apart, see if it's worth salvaging. If I can't get the 289 to, if it doesn't look like it's worth rebuilding, because like I said, it's sat outside. Is that a salvage yard? I guess they pulled it to, I don't know for what reason, and either somebody never come and got it, or it just eventually got set outside. That's what happens to those things, and I know it's locked up. I picked it up cheap, but I don't know anything about it. There's a few things I do know, and this car with the 6-cylinder is the same problem. For those of you who do not know, if these cars were designed to run on leaded fuel, not unleaded, and forgive me if I'm way off base here, but the lead that was in there actually was a lubricant. Maybe it cooled, I don't know, on the exhaust valves. And when they dropped that, which would have been about 74 was when the emissions started coming out, 73 I believe in California, but definitely 74 where most of the cars got catalytic converters and went to unleaded fuel. By doing that, they end up having to put hard seats on the exhaust side of the heads, and these old cars really need an additive to them, and even that is still destructive. It's not as good as the hard seats. So this was driven a short time by who I got it from. We're going to drive it quite a bit, mostly in town. I tell you what, I like the looks of these cars, and I hate jumping all around here, but those front seats are some of the most uncomfortable things I've ever been in. There's not a high back on them, and they make you sit flat out. Even my C6 Corvette I had didn't. I mean, it's like a Cadillac compared to riding in this. But you know, you're not buying it for comfort. That's not what this car was bought for. But anyway, getting back to the head thing, the amount of money it would cost to take those 289 or even the 6-cylinder head down to the machine shop and have them literally machine every exhaust side, put hard seats in them, probably guides, because you know they're probably going to need them, new valves, because I don't know if they need replaced, but I'm sure they're going to need at least, I think they need replaced. They replace the exhaust valves. the age of the motor, how long it sats, probably going to need springs. So you look at all that money of doing that machine work, you're probably talking, you're close to $500 worth of machine work on those V8 heads. And because I've looked into it with the 400 I have over here that had, it was a 71 400, and I'm using the heads on something else. It's not been running a while, but it is sitting over there. And I took the heads down to get them rebuilt. And he shook his head. He said, "You're going to have more in these heads than they're worth." I wouldn't mess with it. So I kind of tried. And even a small block Chevy was it was like 450, and that was like 6-7 years ago. And you can't tell me machine work went down. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I got somebody interested in the heads. What I'm thinking about doing literally is to find a. I am going to fuel injection this car eventually. I don't know if I want to use a stock Ford EFI. It's easy. You can't get much power out of them. I mean, they're those 050s. You can do a lot of work to them, and you can make a little gain here and there. But unless you do a lot of work on the computer, those of you who've messed with them, they're not like, they're just not programmable in such a way that will allow lots of modifications without more work. I mean, the HP tuners and the OBD2 stuff is just leaps and bounds better than that old OBD1 stuff. So I'm thinking about going with a Phytech fuel injection, same as I want to run on the boys' car out there. That'll be later on. So anyway, I have a funny feeling that I'm going to try to do this all at once. When I put that rear axle in, I got to put brakes on it, of course, clean it all up. When I put the rear axle in this, it needs a clutch anyway. It shimmies real bad. I mean, it's tight, but it's got oil on it. I think the rear main seal leaks a bit. I got to pull the drive shaft on this car anyway to see if it'll work with the rear end. It may not be the right U joints, the right yoke. I don't know. And then I'm going to see if it works on that transmission. So I've lost. There it is. So anyway, if it fits on both of those, then all I got to do is make sure that the 5-speed. I know it'll bolt to the bell housing. Well, I say that. I'm sure. I hope it'll bolt up to that bell housing because they're so limited on what you can put on that 6-cylinder motor as far as bell housings. But that T3 bolted up to it, and I looked, tried to measure the bolt holes the best I could. They look the same. Length of the input shaft is probably going to be wrong, and obviously I'm going to have to change the clutch. I don't remember if that's a 10 splint or what Ford used. I'll have to look at that input and see what clutch I'll need, but whether it's a turbo coupe, whether it's I don't know. It could be the pressure plate off the 6-cylinder and the disc off of the. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Anyway, I'm not going to stay on here much longer. But what I'm telling you about the carpet, though, is I'll probably make another video of it all in and whatnot cleaned up. It's so hard to see in the car. You can kind of see maybe outside. I'll re-look at the video and check. But I'm doing this way because I can't. This carpet's no good. I just can't afford to replace it now because, like I said, I don't know how this transmission motor thing is going to end up. And when the V8 does go in there, it's probably going to have a stick. And if this 289 doesn't work out, like I said, I may try to find a 351. I can find them in the pickups pretty readily around here. A lot of those old farm trucks had 351s in them, and I might do that. I don't know. We'll play it by ear. Everybody's got a 302. The 289 is just just a cool old motor. Plus, it's actually period correct for this car. That's the only reason why I was wanting it. But the 351 might be the next thing. Again, I'm not going to race it. So if it doesn't work out, the 289 is fine. Heck, if I found a 260, it would be fine. It really doesn't make any difference. But anyway, I'm going to get off here. I've done rattling. Next time you see this car, I have managed to get it to start. May do another video tour on that, but it is still not right. I have several things I've ran into, and I'll get back with you on it and let you know what's going on. So, see ya.